is women and newborns, and then I like obstetrics, there we go. To finally make another video. I feel like it's been forever since I sat down and made one, but this is my nursing school update, and this is the reason I have been so slacking on videos, is because the month of September in nursing school has been absolute nightmare for me, and so it's just been awful, but not awful in the sense that I hate nursing school, just awful in the sense that just because I've literally been non-stop this entire month. So I'm going to go ahead and use my planner to help me navigate through the month of September. And if you watched my Vlogmas, I went ahead and went with the bold color planner. I will link the Etsy shop that I buy my planners from down below if you want to get one yourself. So let me undo this so I can go back through the month of September. So if this is your first nursing update video that you've seen of mine, just to kind of give you a little bit of background, I am in a BSN program, so I will graduate and be a BSN RN. No, I was not a CNA or anything certified like that before I became a BSN or before I got into nursing school. I'm just going ahead and getting my bachelor's in nursing. I do have a bachelor's in health already. There was no specific reason that I got that degree first, except for the fact that I just went through it really fast, and so I didn't really have time to think about applying to nursing school, but now I am in a nursing school BSN program. So this is my second year. I started last fall of 2015, so I'm officially been in nursing school for a year, and we are now in my last year of school. And so this semester I am taking 12 hours. I'm taking 3 classes that are each worth 4 hours apiece. So I'm an OB, so that's like pregnant women for the most part, so like labor and delivery, postpartum, newborns, stuff like that. And then also I am in mental health, and then I am also in pediatrics. So the 2 top nursing areas that I want to go in, I want to be a labor and delivery nurse. That's my #1 pick, but if I wasn't able to do that, I would love to be a pediatric nurse. So pretty much this is going to be my favorite semester of nursing school. So I have class Mondays and Tuesdays. I have class on Monday from 9 to 11, and then I sometimes have Pediatric Sim lab from 1 to 3, and I only have 2 the whole semester, and they're both already done. Then Tuesday I have class from 9 to 11, I have OB, and then I have mental health from 1 to 3 on Tuesdays, and then Wednesdays is the only time that I have Sim lab for OB, and that's from 1 to 5, but we only have 2 for the whole entire semester, and I've already done 1 of them, so I only have 1 more Wednesday of Sim lab. And then my clinical shifts for my OB, they were on Thursday and Fridays, and they're 10-hour shifts at the hospital. And then for my pediatric clinicals, they were actually on Saturday and Sunday, and then some Fridays. And then my mental health clinicals are on Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm going to go ahead and go back through my semester or my planner and talk about how the month of September was, because it was literally crazy. So I started school on August 29th. That was the first day of class. And so it was just a normal week of school. I just went to class and everything like that. And then the next week is when things kind of got crazy. So I had a dosage calc test literally 1 week after school started. So on September 5th, I had a dosage calc test for pediatrics, because pediatric dosage calculations are different than adults, because pediatrics go by weight. And so we had a dosage calc test that I had to do, but I passed it 100. It was good to go. I'm good on that. And then I also had Sim lab the 5th of September as well for pediatrics. So I went to class, and then I went to Sim lab, and that we just learned pretty much how to assess from infants to teenagers, just like a general assessment of them. Then I had class on Tuesday, and then I had OB Sim from 1 to 5 on that Wednesday, and in that simulation we learned how to do a newborn assessment, we learned how to do a postpartum assessment. Our sim lab is very, very expensive pretty much, and so we have dummies that are actually able to have contractions and give birth to a baby, so we did that as well on my sim lab. So then the second week of school is when I started my OB clinicals. So it was literally like, welcome back to school, bam, you're back in clinicals. It was just crazy. So September 8th and 9th, I had my clinicals for OB. On the 8th, I was in the nursery, and then on the 9th, I was in postpartum. So my newborn clinical was awesome. I loved it. I loved working with the little tiny newborn babies and doing assessments and everything like that. I was able to assess a newborn. I was able to help moms with breastfeeding, and I was also able to do like the erythromycin eye ointment and the vitamin K injection that all newborns get and stuff like that. So it was great. I loved it. And then my postpartum clinical day was that Friday, and I loved that as well. I know some people might think that's boring because, you know, the moms don't need a whole lot. You know, it's really about bonding with the baby and just recovering from giving birth. But I loved it. I loved taking care of all these new mamas. It's such an exciting time in their life, and so I loved it. I had a great clinical experience then. So then we're on to the third week of school, and I had regular class, and then on September 15th I had NICU clinical day, and so I was in the NICU all day, which I loved as well. I love being able to take care of my little preemie babies or my little small infants, and so I love taking care of them, you know, and assessing them and giving them meds or whatever they needed to do. So I love doing that as well. And then on that Friday, so the 16th, I had my labor and delivery clinical day, and it was an interesting day, but even with the things that happened, I still 100% want to be a labor and delivery nurse, and so I loved it. Even though things weren't absolutely perfect, I still loved being in that department, and it still confirmed to me that that is what I want to do with my career as a nurse. And so I actually talked to the lady who hires at the hospital and stuff like that to kind of network so that maybe I can get my foot in to get a job there after I graduate. So for my postpartum and my newborn clinical days, I had to do a lot of paperwork on those two clinical days. So I have a patient and I just do a crap ton of paperwork on that patient. And then my postpartum day, I actually had to interview the family to kind of get it was just an interview because we have to write a paper about just her experience with birth and the dad's experience and everything like that. And so I had to do that as well. And then for my NICU and labor and delivery day, we just had to do a journal reflection for those days, and that was really simple and easy to do because I absolutely love it, and so I had a lot to talk about. So last week I had my first 2 tests of the semester. On Monday I had my first pediatric test, and that went really well. I made an A on the test, so that is good news. And the way I studied for that test was I literally just took the objectives that my teacher listed out in the syllabus and literally read the textbook and answered the objectives. Now, I have never read the textbook in my entire life, but the PowerPoints pretty much have no information on them that is like really answering the objectives. And from asking previous students, they said to read the textbook. So that's what I did. I actually read the textbook and answered the objectives, but I did not read the textbook word for word. I literally just looked for the parts that answered the objectives, and I did really well on the test, so that's what I plan to do for the next couple of tests for that. So that test went well. Then on Tuesday I had my mental health exam, and it was the same thing for that. They said to read the textbook and answer the objectives, so that's what I did. However, I did not study near as much for my mental health exam as I did my pediatric exam, so I'm not really sure why, because pediatrics is really easy for me to understand and mental health isn't, so I'm not sure why I did that, but I still made a good grade on the test. It wasn't that bad. However, the test questions, I was like, as I was taking the test, I was literally just like, I have no idea what they're asking. I don't know the answer. The test was 50 questions, and just to kind of give you an idea of how that went for me, I starred 22 of the questions, which means I was unsure, like I wasn't 100% on my answer on 22 of the 50 questions of the test, but I still made a good grade on the test, so I must have been a pretty good guesser. But I will definitely have to study a lot more for the next test for mental health. And this semester, it's not HESI test. All of my unit exams are created by my teacher, and the finals are the only tests that are HESI tests. So it was weird from going the summer where every single test I took over the summer was a HESI to going back to where it is teacher-made tests. So that was kind of different because I'm so used to HESI style questions that now I have to go back to like teacher style questions, so it was kind of a difference in that. So last week I also had my first pediatric clinical on Friday. I was an elementary school nurse, and oh my gosh, I freaking loved it. I know that might sound boring to a lot of you guys, but I was the preschool teacher, or I worked in the daycare, whatever you want to say. A lot of people get mad at me for saying I was a preschool teacher. I was a lead teacher in the 3-year-old classroom for 3 years, so I love my babies, and being in elementary school just totally brought that love back. I absolutely loved working with them, and I could definitely, if I ever retired from being a labor and delivery nurse, I would love to be a school nurse. I freaking loved it. Like, my heart was so happy at the end of the day. So I absolutely loved it. And then this past weekend on Saturday and Sunday, I actually had to travel an hour and a half out of town for my pediatric clinicals. Yes, I do have to travel this semester just to go to clinicals. So Saturday and Sunday I had pediatric clinicals at a pediatric hospital. I was in the PICU on Saturday, so the pediatric ICU, and then I was on the med-surg floor of the pediatric hospital on Sunday, and I had great experiences in both. I loved it. I could see myself doing that. I know I want to be a labor and delivery nurse first, but I could definitely see myself being a pediatric nurse as well. And so I had a ton of paperwork to do from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we got back Sunday night, and I literally just had to sit and do a crap ton of paperwork for all of my patients that I had, because that was due on Monday. And so Monday I went to class and turned in all my paperwork, and I did not start studying for my OB test that was on Tuesday until Monday night. Like, literally hadn't looked at anything until Monday night is when I started studying for my OB test that was on Tuesday morning. And so yesterday I took my OB test, which means I have finally taken a test in all classes, and it actually went really well. I made an A on the test, which was funny because that's the test that I studied for the least out of all 3, and that's the test that I made the best grade on. So in my heart I was just like, this is when you know you're meant to be a labor and delivery nurse, because it just makes so much sense to me. It just clicks. Everything is so easy for me to understand, and I think it's because I really enjoy learning about that kind of stuff, and I just really love that part of nursing. And so I made a really good grade on my OB test, so I'm really excited about that as well. So far it seems to be that OB and pediatrics are pretty easy, only because I really love learning about that kind of stuff, and mental health will definitely be my hardest class of this semester. This past Monday I also had a Pediatric Sim, and what did we do? Oh, we did a focused assessment, as if an infant came in with a fever, and what we would do, and we practiced drawing up medications for an infant based on weight and stuff like that. We also practiced doing infant Foley catheters and infant and child IVs. So that was different, just because they're a lot smaller humans than what we're used to working with. So I had that sim lab this past Monday as well. So this coming Friday I will be a school nurse again at a different elementary school, and I can't wait because I know I'm going to love it. So today I actually have to go to an AA meeting for my mental health class, and I have to write a paper over it, and so that is actually really interesting, that thing that I'm having to do for that class. So I'm going to an AA meeting, and we'll see how that goes, and I have to write a paper, I think, just on my experience and stuff like that. So anyways, for the month of September, because come this Saturday will be October 1st. So in the month of September, I have completed all 4 OB clinicals, all 4 pediatric clinicals, had 2 pediatric sim labs, had an OB sim lab, had a mental health project, and had 3 tests. And so it was just insane. I literally was just non-stop all the time, because with every clinical there's a ton of paperwork that comes with it, and then I still have Sweetheart meetings on Tuesdays and stuff like that. Sweehearts is the women's organization that I'm in on campus. And so anyways, it was just an insane month of September for me. So come the first week in October, I will just have class, and then I'll have for the most part Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. I do have an OB sim that's on Wednesday sometime in October. So then in the last week of October, and the first week of November, I have my mental health clinicals, and I will be having to travel again an hour and a half away for those clinicals. And so I will be in a mental health facility on Wednesday and on Thursday to do that, and I will have 4 of those as well. So I can't really give you experience on what that will be like, only because I haven't experienced it yet, but since I have experienced all my OB, all my pediatric clinicals, and a test in every class, I figured I would go ahead and do a nursing update for you guys. So yeah, I think the semester is going, like I said, I think the semester is going to be the best one yet, only because 2 of the classes are things that I absolutely love and would want to be as a nurse in my career. But I also think mental health is very interesting, and I think a lot of people don't understand it, and so I'm very, very interested to learn how these things develop and how people with mental health issues function and how everything like that, because I really do think that's something that society as a whole does not understand and does not talk about, and so I'm very interested to learn more about mental health. So I'm not discrediting that class at all. It's just not something that I see myself going into as a nurse, but I'm definitely still very interested in that class, and I'm happy that I'm in it. So I'm really excited for this semester. This is like really making me love nursing school for once, besides all the craziness of my month of September. I think this is the best semester yet, so I'm super excited about that. This is totally unrelated, but just to let you guys know, Ty is officially home for the off season, and so he is staying with me here in my home, and so we might actually be doing a couple videos together. And yeah, also is exciting, I no longer have to wear a white scrub top to my clinicals. I am in my full maroon scrubs, which is awesome because I don't feel like a baby anymore in nursing school. So here is to starting my senior year, being a senior in college again, starting my senior year of nursing school. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I'm sorry I have been so MIA, I needed to get through the month of September before I could get back to doing other things. But I miss you guys, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. I love ya. Mwah.